If you're a landlord and you've ever been burned by a tenant who showed up with a fake emotional support animal certificate from some website, listen up. HUD just changed the rules, and for the first time in years, the law is finally back on your side. Before I get into it, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. I'm Bud Evans. I did 35 years in the Air Force, 13 years as a police officer. I'm the former mayor of Sentiments in New Jersey, and I'm an active real estate investor who built a property management company because I got tired of getting burned by people who didn't know the law. Here's what most landlords believed for the last 5 years. Any tenant who says they have anxiety and prints out a form from an online certification note gets a free pass. No pet fee, no denial, doesn't matter what your lease says. That belief cost landlords real money. Pet damage, liability exposures, tenants are weaponizing the Fair Housing Act because they knew most landlords would fold rather than fight them. I had a tenant who walked into one of my units with a so-called service animal on a leash, wearing a muzzle. That dog lunged at me, snarled. That's not a trained service animal. That's a liability with a tail. HUD just issued new guidance effective this year that says emotional support animals without actual training are no longer a priority for Fair Housing Act enforcement. The agency aligning closer to the ADA standard, that means that the animal has to be trained to perform a specific task connected to a real disability. Anxiety alone is a symptom, not a disability. PTSD, that's a disability. Anxiety from PTSD will justify a trained animal. A printout from a website doesn't anymore. If you're a veteran working through real estate, whether it's your first rental unit or your 10th, you're going to need people around you who've actually done this. So check out the War Room with David Perret. It's veterans helping veterans figure this stuff out for real. The link is in the description. So what do you do with this information as a landlord? First, the underlying Fair Housing Act has not changed. You still have to consider reasonable accommodation requests. Don't ignore a request outright. That's still a legal risk. Second, when you get a request, ask for documentation that the animal is trained to perform a specific task tied to a diagnosed disability. You can ask that. Before, you could not meaningfully challenge it, but now you actually can. Now, it's not a HIPAA violation, okay, if you're actually asking for that information as opposed to what are you ailed by, right? Third, know that HUD will still review open cases individually, so don't assume every existing accommodation gets thrown out. This changes how new complaints get prioritized, not the existing law. The common mistake that I see coming next is landlords overcorrecting and denying every ESA request outright. Don't do that. You'll still get sued, and you might lose because the law on accommodation requests is still active. But handle each request individually, document everything, and don't make blanket policy decisions based on this headline. Require documentation tied to a specific trained task, not just an emotional condition. Don't deny every request outright. The underlying law still hasn't changed, but document every accommodation request and your response in writing. Know the difference between a disability and a symptom. Talk to a real estate attorney before you actually change your pet policy. Hey, if this helped you, do me a favor, hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you catch the next video. Thanks for watching. I'm Bud Evans. Aim high, execute fast. I'll see you on the next one.